Because listen to this, for every action, listen, it starts with the reading, the comprehension. If I go, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, you will understand that's your jargon. But for the learner, if you read it differently, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I'm sure you would agree with me that, breaking it down into chunks like that makes a hell of a difference. You have to then be able to realize the reason why when you take action and you start running, there's a reaction, right? It means there's this much mass that is coming against me every time I go forward. That is why eventually I'll get tired. I believe, colleagues, if learners could be able to just understand the concept, then it would be easier for them to go into your squiggles and decode those squiggles that you use. And then some of the teachers, offering languages that don't have the sufficient content knowledge, as we said, this is another a pointer to where we actually run in short. And their inability as well to use LORT to enhance language acquisition. Linda and I speak of code switching. Whenever we try to make life easy for everybody, we said, listen, it's okay for you as you're teaching that you code switch, that you can say, actually, a cow in Setswana, ke mpya. It tells that there are no Tswana speaking in here. So see, you can go that route. You can go that route, but unfortunately, again, another problem of unintended consequence. We then have our colleagues, both in languages and in content subjects, your STEM, code switching to English. We go visit schools and you see, at times you realize this, the last bullet there is political stance and it's written in italics. Because some of the teachers are so brave that you will walk into a physics class and then they will teach Newton's law of motion in is it Xhosa or something. And then the only bits of English you'll hear is, do you understand? What do you expect learners to say? So you see, that's the code switch into English that we're talking about here. So you see, we have this mass, and here it is. Let's share with you, colleagues, some of the reporting that we find in the diagnostic report. Maybe just to contextualize this, at the end of the year, after the examinations, the DBE pulls all the curriculum specialists and internal moderators and external moderators together. Now, what the team has to do is pull out, lift all the problem areas they diagnose. See, that's linked in language across the curriculum there, my colleagues. You don't go diagnostic before you go, they diagnose. And then because they diagnosed, then we can talk about a diagnostic report. The concept, clarity of concept, right? So they diagnose the problems and then they write them out in the form of a report. Okay. Now, these reports are then shared, with provinces, and then they made available to subject advisors so that those can be used to mediate whatever it is the challenges are. And these are some of the things that we picked up from the diagnostic report for mathematics. Candidates struggled with the concepts in the curriculum that required deeper conceptual understanding. I talked about the concept, right? That inability to build a concept. And then they're not able to interpret information or provide justification. That's language right there. Presented, and this of course presented the greatest challenge. And then the language in the question could have been a barrier to the candidates. Okay, so it means learners are not able to make any headway. And it is evident that language is still a major challenge, as some candidates used inappropriate words to provide their reason. Well, you wonder, do you expect learners to provide appropriate reasons when they are taught in a language other than the language of assessment? It can't be. Okay. And so on it goes. I think I could be running out of time, so I have to start rushing. And language associated with financial questions, this was mainly problematic. Mr. Madao speaks of language problems in mathematics. Now, wherever you have language problems in mathematics, as well as I think you will find in mathematical literacy, learners just get lost because of the chunk of language that is used for them to be able to get to what is required of them. So learners get lost right there. Okay? Now, sorry, these are recommendations. Okay? And then teachers are encouraged to use the correct language in class and in the assessment task. What this actually is pleading to the teachers is use the language of assessment to teach. Because there's no way you can use another language and then assess in the other. You know? And then the notational, correct notation and mathematical language. And then the last bullet there, teachers also need to realize that learners' understanding of concept is more important than them merely doing routine procedures in the section. I think, the example I made of, for every action there's the equal and opposite reaction. Do they realize that any time? And you see, much as this finds expression in a maths report, this is the same that we found, or that we find in languages, in that we teach our learners that this is how you do direct, indirect speech, and then we give them 10 sentences, and then thereafter when they arrive at home and the instructor, your dad said that you must take this to the dry cleaners. They don't realize that for reported speech. So there's still so much that still needs to happen, for these languages to speak to what they're supposed to. And then, colleagues, DBE had to find a way to intervene. And the main problem, whenever everybody speaks, LOLD is a barrier. In essence, we're saying English is a barrier to learning, right? And you'll realize, colleagues, a number of colleagues mentioned that they specialize in language across the curriculum. We came up with English across the curriculum, which is a specialized intervention. Because our intention here, the department's intention here, was to strengthen the LOLD, the language of learning and teaching. Actually, the concept is not any different from language across the curriculum, because the issues are the same. It's only that in this case, we just focused on English. And have I been so happy recently to find there's another country that speaks of English across the curriculum as well. Because half the time, I'll just lose my languages audience. Maybe you say English across the curriculum, and there's Xitsonga and other languages specialists in here, you'll just lose them. You'll say them, sit back, which says, okay, you're on your own. But now remember, the concepts are the same. I mean, it's all, English across the curriculum is based on language across the curriculum, which is a global phenomenon. It's only that this time, we focus on strengthening our LOLD. Okay, and I've spoken already to bullets 1 and 2 in saying that, and it is based on the premise that every teacher is a language teacher. And obviously, if you're going to make any headway with your teaching of your STEM subjects, you need to be able to communicate in the language yourself. In other words, we need to go back to what we said about the issues with proficiency. Okay, so this is exactly the premise, and this is what we want to strengthen. Remember that everybody should be a language teacher. And the basic language skills, they all there, and they all should be taught in content subject. I mean, you speak, the learners have to explain, and as I said it, half the time when you give them problems to work out, they have to explain to others, right? And then they have to develop their logical thinking. and this is the one instance in which when I want to go silly on you colleagues to say, this is where we come into play, that you and I know where to put our therefore. So if we know where to put our therefore, it means you and I in languages and sciences, we speak in the same language. Logically, you don't use therefore if the value of x is and the value of y is, and then you start solving the problem. You start with your condition, if the value of, and then you work through the problem and then you get to your therefore, isn't it? And isn't it that if I say, if the value of, that's a conditional right there. So before you knowing it, you actually teaching the language there, okay? That it's a condition. If you start with an if, it means there's going to be another story. If this is, then there will be. And this is what we teach them as well. Okay. Now, just maybe a bit of background in English across the curriculum. The strategy was developed in 2012, 2013, and subsequent to that, there was a manual for teaching English across the curriculum that was developed in 2014. And, you know, because of financial challenges and everything, this strategy isn't flying exactly where it's supposed to. So the department has since, currently, we are trying to work on digitizing, the instruction, and my colleague was there as well, at least she's supposed to be for a change, instruction where language references is actually emphasized. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to stay for the entire duration of the workshop, because I have a meeting with a service provider. Now, what we're doing is we have developed lessons, and then in these lessons, what we do is try to demonstrate to teachers or to our target audience how, in this lesson, the language aspects will be attended to. Like, for instance, issues of, I think we have reference to that, issues of the suffix, of the prefix, of the common references that we can go to. Isn't it that if we can just ground it in all the letters, that immediately you see anything that starts with quad, then you know right there, across your STEM subjects, quad means 4. Or has it changed since I was last in the science class? Quad still means 4, right? And then the bi and di, they still mean 2, right? And the tri still mean 3. Okay, so I think if we can just ground those, as we said, colleagues, the challenge is we just run over this. I made this colleagues an example. I was speaking to one of my colleagues. One of the challenges in accounting is with this model cash flow statement. It's very easy for an accounting teacher, accounting specialist, to say, today we're going to do the cash flow statement. But hang on a sec. If you could allow the learner to, use the word attack skills. This is the cash flow statement. What are we talking about here? The statement. But what kind of a statement? The statement that captures the flow of cash. You have your concept right there, and then you can run with it. So those are the issues that we look at. Now, how will we be able to? Oh, shucks. I didn't do this, and I hope this doesn't go against my rating. Learners are able. We will know that we have succeeded if learners are able to fully participate in society through equitable and meaningful access to education, and we're able to support their general conceptual growth, to counter disadvantages resulting from kind of mismatches between home languages and languages of learning and teaching, and to employ the language skills to decode concepts, thus leading to enhanced grasp of content subjects. Okay. And now, in preparation for my exit, just have to check where my stuff is so that I can dash out of here. We want to indicate, colleagues, I think this is what we're trying to indicate. that there are challenges, as we have cited, that what the legal framework states and what is happening in schools are at times at cross purposes. Or we find there are instances in which we perhaps do not use the legal mandate that we have as the institution, DBE in this case, to enforce some of these positions that we have taken. That, I think you'd agree with me, should we have done, we would have been able to at least make some progress.